going on, Blobs back. Welcome back to another episode of Top Drives. Now, today's a video that I've not done before, I think, and this is a specialization video. Also an informative video. I do want to talk about a sleeper niche. A niche where I think is very beneficial towards a free-to-play player, a newer player, or even a semi-pay-to-win. If you are a whale, this is probably not going to be fantastic advice for you. But if you are a semi-pay-to-win, I mean semi-pay-to-win, I mean maybe like, $100 once every couple months, or even just a free-to-play. What is a sleeper niche? I would say it's this one right here, the front-wheel drive niche. Now, if you guys notice, when I usually win an epic prize car, I max it immediately, especially if it's the good ones, right? So think about it. The CLEs, the moment I won that, maxed it. The other CLEs, the moment I won that, maxed it. The Audi RS3, the moment I won that, maxed it. What else? Laguna, maxed it. Nissan Primera, which was the best front-wheel drive car at the time, maxed it, right? So why am I so dead set on this niche? Here's the thing. I'm keeping it 100 with you, okay? I'm not a fan of front-wheel drive cars. I'm really not a fan of front-wheel drive cars. I didn't grow up with a lot of these cars. A lot of the front-wheel drive cars are either French or maybe South Korean or Fords that weren't sold stateside. You know what I mean? So, front-wheel drive cars is not really my thing, but I think it's a sleeper niche because it's a niche that grows at a fantastic pace for beginner players, intermediate players, because there's not too much on the plate, but it slowly evolves as the game gets older. But also at the same time, I think the biggest thing about the front wheel drive niche, the biggest pro in my opinion, is that it is consistently rewarding you, right? And what I mean by that is when you go into clubs, I think every other day, it really feels like on average over like the last 6 years of clubs, I cannot believe that this game mode has been around for that long. Every other day you will get front wheel drive requirements. Unfortunately today we actually don't have it. Today it's like UK 5 times, Jaguar 3 times, Rare 5 times, and the last one is like, I think is it Super? No, it's Rare 5 times. I'm not sure if we can find it here. Or Standard Tires was yesterday. So that's bleeding over. That's standard. UK Jag, there you go, rares, right? So every other day it really feels like front wheel drive is a requirement that you need to use in clubs. So, for me, when it comes to top drive, some of the most important cars, and I've said this so many times, are the ones that you can replay, the ones that you can use on a consistent level throughout the course of, playing in a year or 2 years or 3. And some of my most used cars are these front wheel drive cars. For example, my fully upgraded Peugeot 306 Maxi has seen 2,836 races. Another example would be my Audi RS3 LMS, which has seen 2,186 races. Compare that to another car, which I think is very good, but is not front-wheel drive, Audi R8 rear-wheel drive, for example. Let's have a look at that. 657 races. Now, that's not a small number by any feat, but the Audi front-wheel drive that we just saw has a bigger number, almost 3 times, or no, actually almost 4 times bigger than the Audi R8 rear-wheel drive. So why is the front-wheel drive such an important niche? Why is it? Okay, so I've already said that it's a very replayable niche. It's something that you can use in clubs over and over and over, right? It's something that will get you cash on a regular basis, and obviously cash is going to be the foundation for whatever else you want to do in top drives, whether it's opening a pack or fusing your car or whatever like that, right? So the other thing that I think is very amazing about the front-wheel drive niche, something to consider, is that, like I said, it grows at a steady pace, okay? And what I mean by this is you look at front-wheel drive cars, and we're going to go into rarity right now. We're going to go to ultra rare, epic, legendary, all cars, okay? So we're going to look at all of these, and we're going to go back to just non-prize. Well, actually, let's include prize. Let's include prize because, a lot of my epics are prize cars, like the Citroen and the Audi, so I will keep prize cars, okay? So let's look at the collections and tags right now. So look at the amount of front-wheel drive cars that are being added in every update that are ultra rare, epic, and legendary, right? 11 in French Riviera, 9 in APR for both parts, 11 in EGT, 3 in American Overdrive, 13 in ENW, 16 in APGP, 12 in Road Expo. So from all these most recent updates, the biggest number you see here is 16. None of them will go over 200, which means that with every update that you get, you can work on this niche in small, little, bite-sized chunks. You know, the thing about free-to-plays that I always tell them, you see any garage review I do, is, you know, when it comes to free-to-plays, I feel like the main thing that will stumble them is when they get overwhelmed by the sheer amount of cars and top drives, right? You want to upgrade everything at the same time, you want to collect everything at the same time, you get overwhelmed and you get nothing done. So if you just, you know, narrowed it down to the front-wheel drive niche, look at every single update and just look at the front-wheel drive cars. The pool is not that big. I would say that for almost any player, intermediate, even free to play, would be able to capitalize on this niche easier than per se four-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive, right? So you know, this is the most recent one. If we go into another one, Asia Pacific Revival, again, you know, this is pretty doable, right? All you need is just a couple of epics here and there. So let's compare that to another rarity. So for example, let's get rid of that. Let's go to rear-wheel drive, for example. Go to collections and tags. As you can see, the number changes significantly, right? So go all cars. Yep, there we go. So we have 29, 20, 39, 50, 32, 37, 250 frickin' 9, right? And then let's go to four-wheel drive, for example, right? So four-wheel drive, go to collections and tags. You've got, what you got over here? 5, okay, French rebrand, not that many. French cars, fair. 27, 119. You can thank the frickin' Audis for that shit, okay? 63, 64, 79. Think about it this way. Let's use European Grand Tour as a very exaggerated example. Let's say that you wanted to focus on the four-wheel drive niche. Look at the amount of cars you would need to collect. Look at the amount of cars you need to collect. You know how many ceramic packs you're going to need to open? Do you know how many carbon fibers you're going to need to open? This is a very expensive niche for you to focus on. But if I was going to go to front-wheel drive, by the way, a requirement that shows up in clubs 3 times more than four-wheel drive, look at that. Your collection basis is just narrowed. Like how many times, right? This is a lot more doable. The way that I see it, especially if you're a semi-pay to win or more specifically a free-to-play player, is that you gotta take the game one step at a time. You gotta, you know, complete your goals in bite-sized pieces, right? And this, right? How many cars? 11 cars is a massive difference from like the 110 that we saw earlier with the four-wheel drive niche. You get what I mean? So that's the reason why I kind of enjoy having front-wheel drive as kind of like my side niche, my side specialization, because it doesn't require a lot of effort for me. And this is where I think it's also good for a semi-pay to win like myself. You know, it doesn't require too much effort to invest in. You know, it's something where, you know, it's a niche that you can get strong in, but you can also focus on something else at the same time. Obviously, if you're free to play, this might be, you know, where you spend the majority of your resources, but it's doable. You know what I mean? So that's why I think front-wheel drive, honestly, is just a really, really fun niche to really focus on. It's a sleeper niche as well. It's something that not a lot of people want to consider. I guess the only downside when it comes to the front-wheel drive cars is that it has a very low skill ceiling, I guess, if you want to use that word, that term, skill ceiling. Because a lot of these cars, a lot of the best cars from this niche are prize cars. Like the top 4 here are all prize cars, which means that they're not going to be cars that are going to be useful in a tri-series, for example, right? So let's say you had let's say you had every front-wheel drive car fully upgraded, and then let's say that you also had every rear-wheel drive car fully upgraded. Odds are you're gonna do a lot better in a tri-series if you have every single rear-wheel drive car fully upgraded, because they're a lot better non-prize rear-wheel drive cars. That being said, think about how much you would need to invest, how long it would take you to collect a majority of the rear-wheel drive cars in the game as opposed to front-wheel drive. It is a huge difference. We're talking 181 cars, ultra rares and above, to 1,094, 800 when it comes to the four-wheel drive cars. So yeah, honestly, I think this is a sleeper niche. Another thing about front-wheel drive that I really do appreciate is that there's really only one legend. So if you have a Nissan GTR LM Nismo, you're basically like one step there to being the king of the niche. Now I get it, it's not an easy feat, I get it, but if you don't have the GTR LM Nismo, it's still not the end of the world, because you're not gonna, if you ever encounter a front-wheel drive event, the worst case scenario is you encounter enter one legendary. That's it, just one legendary. Everything else is going to be an epic. And it's not too late to focus on the front wheel drive, no matter what stage of the game you're in right now as well. Because remember, every month when the Veterans Challenge comes around, you've got a chance of winning the Peugeot 308 TCR. I've not collected it because I've kind of deemed it unnecessary for myself, considering I have, you know, both the CLEs that are also French. I have the Audi RS3, I have the Cruise, and not to mention that all of these cars I have fully upgraded. I kind of deemed it to myself where the 308 TCR is just not really at the top of my priority list right now, but that's only because I have other cars to back it up. So as you can look at my niche over here, and that's why you can always tell that I always get very excited when I win a front wheel drive car or when I unpack a front wheel drive car. It's not necessarily because I enjoy these cars, not that I like them in real life, but I understand that, you know, it's a very useful niche in top drives because of its replayability, and also how much cash it can make for me. Another example is the Nissan GTR Elemental. I've used this car many times, 2,479, right? CLEs, this car is relatively new, only won it like, you know, 20 days ago, but I've already used it 61 times, so that's 3 times a day already. Win ratio, 97%. This car is already working back the value that I put into it, so that's always great. So that's why I've got a lot of these cars fully upgraded. In fact, I think I have a decent amount, right? Fully upgraded. How many epics front wheel drives I have? 14. 14. I can make a full hand of fully upgraded epic front wheel drive cars 3 times over, almost 3 times over, right? You added my one legendary, then it's 3 times over. So yeah, it's a very fun niche to focus on, as well as if you want to put this front wheel drive niche, if you want to narrow it down even further, it also puts everything into bite-sized pieces, okay? So another example is this. Front wheel drive, let's go front wheel drive, so I'll get rid of fully upgraded, we'll go all cars. Front wheel drive, legendary, epic, ultra rare. Let's go to tires, right? So where do you find your tires? Is it collections? No, it's car attributes. Yeah, so let's say I want to collect off-road tires, for example. You know, again, bite-sized pieces, you know, 2 epics to collect, and then just a bunch of ultra rares. Compare this to a different drivetrain, maybe 4-wheel drive, for example, for that exaggerated, depiction, right? This is going to be really hard for any kind of player to collect, whether you are a pay-to-win or a free-to-play. To get every single car, to get a chokehold on this niche, and then, you know, to upgrade these cars as well, it's going to take a long time, right? Rear-wheel drive is a little bit easier, but it's still not as easy as the front-wheel drive niche. There are a lot of epics here that you still need to try and collect. I mean, you know, sometimes you're unlucky. I can't even get the Mazda RX-7 for crying out loud. Can't even get the Escort. I've never unpacked any of these 2 cars once, which I think is absolutely crazy. So that's also the universe telling me that, hey, rear-wheel drive, off-road, that's just not for you. The best ones I got, luckily, are prize cars, and luckily I won them, right? I mean, honestly, I'm just not very lucky with off-road tire cars in general, because if you look at front-wheel drive, I've never unpacked such a kit car anyway. But hey, you know, it's not the biggest deal in the world, because A, it got nerfed recently, and also B, you know, if I don't have that, that's fine. I still have the ultra rares to back it up. It's not like I'm missing out on a bunch of epics, right? Same scenario if I want to go to, let's say, standard tires. Right, center tires, again, what's going on here? Off-road, get rid of off-road, okay? Then we go front-wheel drive. Where is front-wheel drive? Again, very simple. Ultra and above, only 8 cars for you to collect. So if you're a free-to-play player, this is going to be, you know, a doable goal, right? Something that you can really set your sights on and complete probably within the same year since you started playing top drives, depending on the packs that you open, right? And obviously how many packs do you open and stuff like that. But obviously 8 cars, front wheel drive standard, is a lot more achievable to collect as a collector compared to rear wheel drive standard when there are 58 cars for you to collect, a lot of them being epics as well, which is significantly harder to unpack than an ultra rare. So that's another thing to consider, right? And then you got the 4-wheel drives, you got 144 cars. So that's what I like about the front wheel drive niche. It's not a dead niche in a sense where when you get a new update, you're never going to get new front wheel drive cars. There are going to be new front wheel drive cars in every update for the higher rarities, but the number is not going to be that big, which means that you can move on with this niche one step at a time at a steady pace, something that doesn't feel too overwhelming. So that's the reason why I think front wheel drive is a little bit of a sleeper niche. And I feel like, you know, if you find yourself at a stage in top drives where you might be a little bit bored, and that's another reason why I'm making today's video, because there's absolutely nothing going on in top drives right now. Since yesterday and today, they did release the Hugo's Holiday Tour, but I think the concept is just absolutely, I mean, the concept is okay, the execution is stupid, you know? Like, we have nothing to do right now, so congratulations, here's a challenge where you can do 5 races a day, and in total, you can make like 2,500 cash. That's stingy, and that's boring. okay? And all for what, dude? Your grand prize is up. Whatever, dude. Whatever. We don't want to talk about that bullshit, okay? But like I said, if you find yourself, in a place where you're stuck in top drives, you don't know what else to do, you want to look at a new niche that you kind of want to upgrade, something that, like, here's the thing. If you're a free-to-play player, a niche that, will give you something to work on. If you're a semi-pay-to-win or a pay-to-win, then this will be a side quest that you can just do on the side, and it isn't too tasking on your own resources. Let's say that you want to keep resources aside for a tri-series, whenever that may be, then I think the front-wheel drive niche would be a pretty decent one to focus on as well, because there are not a lot of cars that you need to upgrade, if you have them already, and obviously if you need to collect them, theoretically, it will take a lot shorter time to upgrade all the front-wheel drive cars compared to collecting all the rear-wheel drive cars in the game. So I feel like this is a niche that some people don't really focus on a lot, a niche that not a lot of people talk about too much in top drives, and I get that, because the main thing is most people play for tri-series, and like I said, the main drawback about collecting this niche and specializing in the front-wheel drive niche is that it's not going to translate over to the tri-series, right? The closest that we've seen was, I think, the Chevrolet Cruze touring car being one of the key cars in the tri-series earlier on in this year. But aside from that, everything, and I think the Mazda 3 TCR had its day as well. And also the Hyundai Veloster N, I think, and these two had its day in the same final. But aside from that, and obviously the Sport Megane, this might have won you the most recent prize car for the Lancer. So, they still have a chance, but they're not usually the best cars, But yeah, this is a news that you guys could consider if you want to. Just a small little informative video for you guys. But anyway, hope you found this video helpful. Hope you guys have a great day. We're gonna stay safe, wash your hands, and blossom out. Peace.
Bro, this song just makes me so happy.
Me too.
Imagine being Asian in the 50s, looking nifty, leather jacket, looking sleek, look like Presley, look so deadly. Got a jukebox back at home, feeling jazzy, turn it on and play it slow, like the movies with the ladies.
They so fine.
Imagine being Asian in the 50s, looking nifty, leather jacket, looking sleek, look like Presley, look so deadly. Got a jukebox back at home, feeling jazzy, turn it on and play it slow, like the movies with the ladies.
They so fine.
Sit back, relax in my Bonneville.